Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. What a piece of work. What a piece of you-know-what. The scam that was sold to American voters back in 2020 was that Joe Biden was going to return the soul of the nation. He was going to restore decency, but most importantly, he was going to unite the country. Republican, Democrat, Independent, it didn't matter. Joe Biden was your president.
Running for three reasons: restore the soul of America. Number two, to rebuild the backbone of the country, the middle class. And three, unite America. And I was told you can't unite it. You can't unite America, we're done. I've long said America is at its best when we act as one nation, one America. That's the tragedy of Donald Trump being president today.
Some people even dubbed him the Uniter-in-Chief. And of course, yet again, another Biden scam, another flat-out lie, another flip-flop. It seems as though Joe Biden, in a last-ditch, desperate effort, although I don't know why I keep saying that, Joe Biden isn't doing anything. It seems as though Joe Biden's handlers are attempting to revive a failed strategy of old, because obviously Bidenomics and the rest of what they've attempted isn't working so well. They're reviving the old talking point that Donald Trump is literally Hitler and Trump supporters are the greatest threat to the American homeland. Yep, here we go again. The Uniter-in-Chief is now labeling you a domestic terror threat that must be stopped. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so here's Joe Biden's latest campaign ad titled Cause Biden-Harris 2024.
I've made the preservation of American democracy the central issue of my presidency. I believe in free and fair elections and the right to vote fairly and have your vote counted. There's something dangerous happening in America. There's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy. All of us are being asked right now, what will we do to maintain our democracy? History's watching. The world is watching. And most important, our children and grandchildren will hold us responsible. The Vice President and I have supported voting rights since day one of this administration, and I ask every American to join me in this cause. America is still a place of possibilities, where the power resides with we, the people. That's our soul. We are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Now, I know the main takeaway from this video is supposed to be emotional, shock. American democracy is under assault. But really, the only thing that I was thinking when listening to that video was, wow, whoever's speaking right now is completely incoherent. Slurring their words, they must be drunk. Oh wait, that's Joe Biden. But the real inebriated take here comes in the form of this bogus BS narrative. I mean, talk about selective editing. Talk about cherry picking. What a piece of garbage political talking point. As if January 6th is the only example of a protest getting out of hand. January 6th followed an entire summer of leftist activists burning down entire neighborhoods. The George Floyd riots led to 25 people losing their lives, billions of dollars in damages. Just based on the insurance claims alone, I think the insurance claims toppled $2 billion in 2020 related to riots. But Joe Biden wants us to focus specifically on January 6th, the only protest of that little period of time that was actually mostly peaceful. What Joe Biden is currently doing is the literal opposite of what he promised. He promised to unite the country, yet all he seems to be interested in is fanning the flames of a potential civil war. And of course, not exactly surprising, they've spent the last week testing the waters of this kind of rhetoric. They've been announcing to the media that on the anniversary of January 6th, Joe Biden would address the nation, warning of the Maga threat to democracy. Here's a piece from Trending Politics News. Report Biden will portray Trump as a threat to democracy in January 6th speech at Valley Forge. Probably similar to the same blood red speech he gave in 2022, where he claimed that Maga extremists were the greatest threat to the homeland.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the Maga Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the Maga Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
Well, we all remember how that went. Joe Biden started dropping precipitously in the polls. People viewed his speech as Hitlerian, divisive, and dangerous. Well, I guess they never learnt their lesson. They're attempting it again. I mean, everything else is falling completely flat. Frankly, I find it disgusting, but at the same time, I'm also not too worried about it because I feel like for the most part, this rhetoric won't accomplish what they think it will. The Democrat Party, I think, is in serious need of modernizing its political rhetoric. It's been 8 years, and we've come full circle back to Donald Trump is literally Hitler, and the MAGA voter base is a KKK threat to democracy. Not going to work. You know why I know it's not going to work? Because it never has. And for the most part, normal people see this kind of rhetoric and say that's going too far. Nobody except for the MSNBC Blue Ain on Twitter crowd actually believed that January 6th was a legitimate insurrection organized by the former president of the United States. The claim that January 6th was some sort of violent overthrow is completely absurd. The only evidence that they point to are some of the shots involving individuals who were present on the day and Capitol police officers during that clash. You know, Vivek Ramaswamy actually mentioned this during his town hall with CNN, however many months ago.
Why did they suppress footage of now what's been released, 200 hours of footage of shooting rubber bullets into that crowd, shooting tear gas into that crowd? You didn't see that before. You saw what the response was to that. Now you see footage coming out of actually rolling out the red carpet for Capitol Police allowing people in,
again,
right through the front door.
The vast majority of the footage
evidence should have been released before, Abby.
Mr. Ramaswamy, the vast majority of the footage shows police officers being overrun
and I want to talk about one more
by
case.
violent
this is really important.
rioters. That's
I'm
what
going to give you some hard facts.
Of it shows.
You know, CNN attempted to fact check him on the spot, but the reality is there's two sides to that story. Capitol police officers were indeed using rubber bullets and other aggressive crowd control tactics. Those clashes just demonstrate the dynamic between the two groups. For the most part, all the evidence that we've seen, especially after people entered the building itself, the scenes looked like a school field trip through the rotunda. Not exactly a violent overthrow or an insurrection. Was it appropriate? You could argue that it wasn't, but the exaggeration from the left comes off as totally disingenuous, I think, to regular people. You know, Democrats, I think, are making the same mistake that they have been. They're attempting to once again make this election about Donald Trump instead of what they have to offer for the American people. The reality is there's obviously not much to run on. There's not much to offer. In terms of rhetoric and empty promises, they threw everything in the kitchen sink back in 2020. Joe Biden's messaging in 2020 was that the pandemic was Trump's fault, the riots were Trump's fault, and he's gonna give you free shit. Well, now running for a second term, he can't exactly promise free anything, considering most people have already caught on to the false promises, the scams. And so I guess all that's left is evil orange man bad. And now they're taking it to the next level. Evil orange man and his minions of MAGA extremists bad. It comes off as divisive, it comes off as desperate, extremely dishonest, disingenuous. It feels more like a partisan propaganda campaign than an actual political platform. While the rhetoric itself is certainly concerning, this casting of your political opponents as threats to democracy, when push comes to shove, I'm not concerned in the slightest that it's going to move the needle at all. In fact, I think it makes the Democrat Party look incredibly dishonest. You're being lectured to about a threat to democracy by the same people attempting to jail their political opponent, rip him off the ballot, and arrest his allies and supporters. I think a lot of people are starting to see that picture. And so my thought, this is desperate rhetoric, and it's not going to work. Get ready for yet again another massive backfire. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.